On last week's episode, Adam Pearce was faced with a decision. There were two worthy challengers for Roman Reigns at WrestleMania 37, the winner of the 2021 Royal Rumble, Edge, and the man who forced Roman Reigns to tap out, Daniel Bryan. After a show-long storyline, Pearce declared that the main event of Night 2 at WrestleMania will be a triple threat match. How will this twist affect the build to WrestleMania 37? It's time to rewind the Bloodline. Before we get started, don't forget to acknowledge us. If you are new to what we're doing here, we are taking you back through the entire Bloodline story, and WrestleMania 37 is next week. So please go back and check out the rest of the uploads on the channel. We've covered from the beginning of 2020 to April 2021 so far. So, Goose, we are almost there. We are at the final stop. We have two shows to cover to get to this WrestleMania, so let's get to it.
All right, we are at the April 2nd, 2021 episode of SmackDown. The opening graphic has the 2 weeks ago at Fastlane moniker on it. And Bryan's voice from his promo last week is narrating a video of him making Roman tap and Edge smashing him with the chair. We then cut to Bryan's promo from last week saying that he earned his shot. Bryan having a seat, Edge's rebuttal, and then Edge beating him down again.
Roman, Edge, and Bryan are politicking for what they want at WrestleMania, and Adam Pearce making his decision.
The three of you will compete in a triple threat match.
And then the big three-way melee at the end of the show, finishing with Edge unhinged and sitting in the middle of the ring. And I thought that this recap was excellent. It was awesome.
Yeah, I mean, the main show starts, and we are 1 week from WrestleMania. So Graves tells us that it is official. Streaming live on Peacock, there is a triple threat match for the Universal Championship. Edge's music hits. He comes down, bends them knees, gets all the pyro, and then struts on down to the ring. You gotta love Edge taking strong defensive position every time he comes out, man.
Edge takes the microphone, exhales, and says,
"What happened at Fastlane? What happened last week on
the chaos, the mayhem, the destruction
didn't need to happen."
He then rethinks himself and says,
Or maybe it did.
It was naive of him to think he could get to WrestleMania without hitting any speed bumps, and I popped huge here because he referred to Daniel Bryan.
Or maybe a better analogy is hitting any roadkill, because
not only that, dude, he buries Daniel Bryan for weaseling his way into the WrestleMania match. He takes offense because he was inspired by Daniel Bryan's comeback. He wanted to team with Daniel Bryan at Fastlane.
That just wasn't enough for Daniel.
He then says that he was so focused on Roman, he overlooked the manipulator and an opportunist coming.
That's on me.
He said there were all these scenarios laid out. Daniel Bryan immediately getting the winner after Roman and Edge faced off. He facetiously calls that
so heroic.
Edge and Roman face each other Saturday. Daniel Bryan gets the winner on Sunday.
And so brave.
But now a triple threat match, and he admits he just got outplayed.
And he says he's mad at DB.
But I also, strangely, I have to thank him
because Edge looked in the mirror.
I finally liked what I saw.
He saw a man who, when he's backed into a corner, he comes out fighting, swinging, and doing what he has to do. He finally looked in the mirror.
Finally saw the rated R superstar.
And I said it last week, and I'll say it again. This right here is the Edge that I was waiting for. I love the heelish, like, chip on his shoulder Edge. It hasn't felt like we got it, and it feels like we're finally there now.
Speaking of, he asks for the graphic to come up for the triple threat match to be put on the screen. He then buries Pearce for trying to validate his paycheck. He says that no one, Pearce, Roman, Bryan.
But I don't think Adam understands the ramifications of what he's done.
Did Edge snap at Fastlane? Did he snap after it was named the triple threat?
Damn right I did.
He finally woke up. And he's a man that Roman Reigns and Daniel Bryan, they aspire to be.
I am a WWE Hall of Fame legend.
And as he's saying this, he's also purple right now. Like he's turning an unhealthy hue. He's an opportunist. And dude, he has this great fire. And the fire here is so great that I think his head is literally ablaze at this point in time. And finally, once again, he is
The rated R superstar.
And Edge is now a complete psychopath.
When I held that cold steel chair in my hands,
Felt so good. He was this close to a concerto. And next time,
I won't hesitate.
and tonight, we have a street fight with Daniel Bryan and Jey Uso. Like, oh, okay, but I'm here for it though.
absolutely, man. Who's mad at that?
So we come back from break, they plug the main event, and Kayla stops Edge backstage.
Yeah, she says that his comments tonight, she couldn't help but see that he didn't mention the street fight tonight between Daniel Bryan and Jey Uso. Maybe it's because he didn't know it was happening either. I don't know. But she says that some people are saying that Jay's just there to take Daniel Bryan out. And Edge responds that if you think he feels badly that Bryan might get beaten senseless by Jay,
I don't.
he also says that if Bryan is beaten so badly that he can't make Mania,
Will a small part of me feel badly? No.
After Otis and Gable win a four-way tag match, Pearce and Sonya are backstage talking, and Paul Heyman enters the screen. Paul is talking only to Sonya, but says that the tribal chief asked him to talk to the two of them.
A small legality, a indemnification clause.
It's a hold harmless agreement that strips main event Jey Uso from
All liability in tonight's match.
and I love that as he's saying this, Pearce is rolling his eyes so hard into the back of his head. Like
Yes.
he's saying it to Sonya to both of them, and Pearce is just there, just selling it so hard, dude. I loved it. Paul says it could shorten Bryan's career. It could affect the main event at WrestleMania. And Pearce starts to cut him off, saying,
Oh, Paul, I should have expected that you'd come and
I
ask me.
think you made a very good point, Mr. Heyman.
to which Paul replies, so did I. And I laughed out loud at that, dude. I thought that was awesome.
So we have a detour off of the main story just for a little because Logan Paul is making his first appearance on WWE TV. And man, Logan Paul comes out to piped in cheers with this Sammy segment, and it is just weird.
Logan Paul.
And I completely forgot that they introduced this dude as a babyface. How bad of a call is that?
You would assume that is because Vince McMahon doesn't understand what the internet is,
No,
how it works. And he would just think, oh, a lot of people follow the fellow, huh? He's a baby face.
He must like him. Yeah. Out there, get him, pal.
Yeah. Oh, man. So Sammy's good. He's the greatest here, dude. He shows Logan his trailer, and it is Sammy's conspiracy video, Justice for Sammy, or whatever they called it, is the best trailer for a movie that I've seen since Sonic 3. I haven't been more excited for a movie since then. KO then comes out. He stuns Sammy. Pearce and Sonya are then talking backstage. And while that's going on, Edge enters the screen.
And Edge calls out Pearce, saying that he has a knack for making matches, and last week he made
The worst decision in the history of the WWE, and trust me, that's saying something.
But this street fight is a good idea, and Edge will be out there on commentary. But poor Pearce, man, he literally can't catch a break on this episode. Everybody's out to get him.
Everybody's got a shovel, brother. Everyone's got a shovel. So after Bianca beats Carmella, we see Jay sitting backstage with Roman, who's just seated in the Godfather chair. He's getting hyped for the main event, rubbing his hands together, doing all that jazz. We get a plug for WrestleMania's SmackDown next week, which we'll get to shortly, that includes the Andre the Giant Battle Royal that features T-Bar, Mace, and Jey Uso. Those were the three faces that I picked off of the poster that I got excited for. We then get promos for King Corbin and Apollo Crews, and then Edge is backstage, and Paul now enters the screen.
The main event of WrestleMania should have been Edge challenging Roman Reigns for the...
Paul talks about how Bryan entering the match skews the math against Roman or Edge winning, and Edge then cuts off Paul and says,
Well, Paul, I don't know what you have planned for the triple threat, but I'm heading out there for commentary.
and I found this really intriguing because Paul is actually acknowledging that Edge was right last week whenever he came in and was talking to Roman. It was just really interesting.
A true wise man is self-aware, dude. And that was sort of what I took from that was actually him being a wise man. You know, they say the wisest man admits he doesn't know everything or whatever. And so there you go. So Edge comes out, Corey and Cole plug Peacock, and the street fight is up next. As Jay comes out by himself, which I thought was really interesting, Edge is asked where his head is, and he simply replies, "It's on Victory. That's the only thing that I could worry about." And Graves tells us that Jay is legally held harmless for any damage done to Bryan. Edge then says he thinks that Jay doesn't need Roman, but Roman needs Jay Uso more. And this part of the commentary was weird because Edge he's like one leg in, one leg out. Do you know what I mean? Like this is the stuff that he was saying whenever he was still good guy Edge. Like, get into it, man. Go full bore.
I 100% agree. We have something to add to that next week on the following episode of SmackDown that I had a problem with him doing that too. So Bryan's music starts playing. He sprints to the ring, and these two just start throwing hands. Jay cuts off Bryan. He throws him to the outside. Bryan fires back with right hands. He puts Jay into the barricade once, and then he goes for a second, but Jay reverses and throws Bryan's shoulder first into the barricade. And here we are again. Jay running wild and in control because there's no rules. His character thrives in just a particular environment where there's no rules and he can't be held accountable. And this fits perfectly for Roman saying last week he's got to let the pit bull off his leash. Well, the pit bull was off here now.
Yeah, absolutely right. So Jay throws Bryan back in. Bryan then fires back with a drop kick through the ropes. He goes to run for a tope, and Jay holds up a chair. Just like you said, Jay's being crafty with the weapons. When there's no rules and no regs, Jay thrives. Bryan runs face first into it. He's down. Jay starts working over Bryan with the chair, puts Bryan's ankle in the Pillmanized position. He goes to hit an Uso splash onto the ankle.
He's going to try to break his leg. And Bryan rolled out off.
But Bryan rolls out, and then he starts working Jay over with the chair. And as that happens, Roman's music hits.
I have something to say about that Uso splash because I was like, of all things that you could do, you were going to sacrifice your midsection for a Pillmanizing. Like, that was insane. I couldn't believe that he did that.
That is what you call being loyal to the family. Who needs a spleen, or who needs a lung? Who needs a whatever might get punctured by the leg of that chair if you could take Daniel Bryan out of the main event at WrestleMania?
So Roman is walking out with Paul, who is wheeling out a leather chair behind Roman. And the entire time I was thinking, I dare Roman to roll that thing the whole way down to ringside like Stone Cold Steve Austin, but he didn't. Edge is angrily saying that
this is the man that I should have been facing one-on-one at WrestleMania.
And Roman sits in the chair as we go to break. We come back and Bryan is hitting Jay with the yes kicks. He goes for the running kick in the corner and Jay cuts him off. He hits a super kick and
disqualifications, no countouts as Bryan is driven.
Jay then gets a chain from a toolbox because we have those around all the time. Starts working over Bryan with it. Roman's laughing in the chair. Jay goes to the top, hits an Uso splash, but Bryan kicks out at 2. Jay's then just beating on Bryan on the outside. He throws him into the steps, and Edge is... While this is going on, I did laugh because Edge is putting himself over so hard while also just whining about Bryan being in the match. Jay goes for a suplex off of the steps. Bryan reverses. He then grabs a chair, beats Jay with it, and then repeatedly throws Jay's head into the announce table.
And Bryan goes to the top. He hits a missile drop kick, and then he nails Jay with yes kicks. And Bryan now wraps the chain around his arm, and he starts pounding Jay with the hammer and anvil elbows. And he then rolls Jay into the yes lock. And
Bryan's going to tap Uso out!
Yeah, man. And I need to say, for a street fight build as one that could keep Bryan out of the main event at WrestleMania, this was pretty uneventful.
It was.
It was good, but like, Bryan was never really in peril. I thought that was interesting.
Yeah, it felt like it was just a way to get all three guys out there and to try to create some more intrigue, but they were too afraid to do anything too crazy to get anybody hurt.
This is true. oh man,
why are we calling it a street fight then?
I wonder what the competition was in Fox on Friday night, that particular night. Maybe we just needed to sort of hot shot something. Who knows?
Maybe, yeah.
So Bryan rolls out immediately. He hits Jay with the Psycho knee. He then drives Edge's face into the post. Bryan is now looking at Roman, who's at the top of the ramp. Roman gives Paul his belt. He stands up and then he
Right up the road to Reigns. Bryan is
Dude, he sent that thing into orbit, but Bryan ducks out. He hits a psycho knee onto Roman, and Roman is crawling away down the aisle, and Bryan gets Roman into a yes lock.
the yes lock on Reigns.
Bryan is standing tall. And the only thing that stood out to me here was not only just the visual of Roman getting in the yes lock again, but they kept that camera shot just so you could see Paul standing at the top of the ramp. And I'm just like, why doesn't Paul come down and just hit Bryan over the head with the title? Like, I just was waiting for that to happen, and Paul just stood there the entire time.
the only thing that I could get from that is that I imagine that it's a heel act. Best heel managers are always cowards. And so he didn't want to get in there because then maybe Daniel Bryan would throw him into the yes lock or whatever.
Oh, maybe, yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, so yeah, that's sort of, that was my take, but I co-sign on that. It was interesting that he was still in the shot because you wanted to keep cognizant that he was still there.
Right.
What I thought was really refreshing here though, was that after seeing Roman come out on top week after week for 6 months now, we've been doing this, seeing two different guys stand tall and get the best of them in 2 straight weeks, I thought was really cool.
Yeah, it is cool. I have something that I want to say a little bit earlier about Roman's build. Well, I will save that to later in the show.
Then let's do it, man. We got WrestleMania's SmackDown. So take us home, brother.
Yes, it is the April 9th, 2021 SmackDown, and we start this show with one of the quickest recap packages ever, which is basically Bryan winning the street fight and then beating everyone down, and it was very good, but not the long dramatic video that, you'd be expecting for a WrestleMania go-home show. But Bryan's music hits, and he's out first on this WrestleMania SmackDown, and this shirt, this sloth on the shirt was incredible.
Yeah. Leave it up to Daniel Bryan to put over Lazy Wildlife with Oswards or whatever that was, man. Yeah, that was pretty awesome. Yeah. So Bryan gets the mic and says,
"We are so close to the biggest event of the year, WrestleMania."
He's excited to see the set, the pyro, feel the human air in Raymond James Stadium. But what he's excited about the most is to
hear the roar of the WWE Universe.
Bryan says that the Thunderdome is great, but there's nothing like being in front of a live audience and winning the main event of WrestleMania.
And he can't wait to walk to the ring and hear those 25,000 people cheer yes. He says that even though he's associated with that word, he is familiar with the word no.
Is Daniel Bryan big enough? No.
And he says that if you ask Batista, Orton, Roman, and Edge if Daniel Bryan belongs in the main event of WrestleMania, they would say no. But does Daniel Bryan think he belongs?
You're damn right I do.
Oh, yeah, dude. Bryan says that his mentors told him
ignore the negativity
to find the truth. And that's what taught him to say
yes.
Because every time life told him no, he said yes. Doctors said he would never wrestle again. People said he'd never be world champion, that he couldn't tap out Roman Reigns. But
I said yes.
And will Daniel Bryan main event WrestleMania? First, Adam Pearce said no, but now
Adam Pearce said yes.
And Bryan said he's awoken the beast. Edge and Roman Reigns are now the 2 most dangerous men in the WWE, but who are they going to face? It's not the Daniel Bryan who was the GM. It's not the family man. This is going to be the best Daniel Bryan.
The most dangerous Daniel Bryan that they've ever seen.
Same man who tapped Roman, who kicked Edge's head in.
With fire in his eyes and fire in his heart.
Dude, he has me ready to run through a wall right now.
Yes,
if I was in the Thunderdome, I'd have broke through the screen and fell into Tropicana Field.
Yes, this was so good. He has been on fire with these promos.
All they needed to do was just let him go.
Right.
Like he is in the creative meetings at this time.
Right.
He was the one that was saying, let them all beat me. Let's elevate these guys.
Right.
The second that they said, DB, we need you, then it's incredible, man. He's an all-timer. So his last question.
Can Daniel Bryan walk out of the main event of WrestleMania as Universal Champion?
Yes. And we get that going. We then get several segments and promo packages to build WrestleMania, including The Fiend versus Randy Orton and Seth Rollins versus Cesaro. Edge's music hits and he makes his way to the ring as we head to commercial.
And this isn't just any commercial. It is a WWE NFT commercial. How many people paid for that thing? And it is worthless now.
So I actually went to look up the value of these Undertaker NFTs, and it looks like they're worth between $7 and $24. Don't quote me because I don't really understand NFTs, but there's no way these were selling for $7 and $24 then, dude.
Absolutely not.
Now, people thought that they were going to retire off of a bronze NFT Undertaker.
Yep. Yes.
So we come back from break and Edge is sitting in the ring and they are zoomed so freaking tight on his face. It made me uncomfortable.
They zoom in so far on his face and Edge just has an awkward face to begin with, but my word, like zoom out just a smidge here. Give us a little bit, like back out a little bit.
If anybody here is in their late 30s and you are familiar with Nick Jr. and Face,
hi there, Face here.
That was Edge. And if you don't know what Face was just a face on your entire television screen. That was what I got right there. I thought that he was going to take me to Allegra's window.
So Edge says that he went to WrestleMania 6 and he knew what he wanted to do with his life.
Dream things, I have to manifest them.
And he did. He became a WWE superstar who accomplished everything but ending his career on his terms. To people who say, isn't that enough? They don't know what he's been through. The heights and the lows of having to give it up.
Heights that I've seen. To fight back for your career for 9 years.
He didn't come back for some greatest hits tour to be a shell of himself, which maybe John Cena did.
Perhaps.
I came back to steal the show, to main event WrestleMania.
He calls out Daniel Bryan for saying it could be his last WrestleMania. He used sympathy as a factor to weasel his way in. He then runs through Bryan's previous ideas. They got shut down. Now it's a triple threat. And Daniel Bryan could pin Roman, and Edge could have nothing to do with it.
Clash of the Titans between two eras.
We have some, quote,
some indie bookstore clerk troll sticking his nose in our business.
And that was weird.
Yeah, I did not like that line at all. He calls out Roman for walking around like he owns the place, but Edge doesn't owe Roman anything. Roman owes him. He says Roman made his debut in a 3-man group, entered through the crowd, used a spear as his finish. Who set the template for you?
You're Samoan Edge.
Love the Samoan Edge line, dude.
I had no idea where Edge was going with that, but man, did he ever hammer that nail in at the end. That was really good. But he admits Roman is good, always has been. And Edge came to swing for the fences, and Roman Reigns is the green monster.
Edge then continues to drone on, and now he's calling out production for not making touching videos with piano about him having the match on the day that he retired. He came back from a torn triceps to win the Royal Rumble.
I have come back from something that no one has ever come back from.
For 9 years, a triple fusion surgery. You want to call him a part-timer? He's doing things that no one would ever do with that injury. He says it's time for people to put respect on his name. You can call it fate, God's will, whatever you want, but
I am the next Universal Champion.
Because he dreamt it, and
now I will manifest it.
Man, that was a lot. It was a lot from a man just sitting in a chair.
I got this feeling while we were talking about that previous SmackDown, whenever Edge was on commentary, Edge is just like playing a Bret Hart hits right now. Like he literally is just, it feels like he's just Bret Hart.
He absolutely believes that he is a baby face, and that he's wronged, comes off as a good heel character, like, because it's insufferable. but I agree with you. Like, I do feel like, and this stinks for him. He did have the best babyface arc ever. You come back from a career-ending injury, you win the Royal Rumble, you're going to win at WrestleMania on the day that you had to retire, win the championship you never lost. Oh my God, it's incredible. It's just not, it wasn't working. I'm glad they pivoted. But yeah, I think that you nailed it with Bret Hart vibes. I think that that's absolutely it.
After all of that Edge had to say, we have Pearce and Sonya backstage again. Pearce says that no one would have thought a year ago that we would have these three, much less in a triple threat, at WrestleMania. And Sonya then calls out the triple threat match as being unfair.
But I think at WrestleMania, it needs to be Roman Reigns versus Edge in a singles match.
And then she walks off. And what was that?
Yeah. And we had no follow-up, dude.
No.
She just said her piece and pieced out of there.
It was bad.
Yeah, it was very strange. So we get a few promo videos for the title matches tomorrow, which would be night one. Come to the channel next week. Then we get shut out of the Jake Paul training camp in a pre-tape. And as the Battle Royal guys start to come to the ring, Kevin Owens attacks Sammy. They're all getting in, and the Battle Royal is next.
So Nakamura and Corbin get ring entrances, and Jay is the last one to come down. The bell rings and everyone starts throwing brotherly forearms, and man, there is a lot of geeks in there.
Oh yeah, there is. This is it. Talk about everybody else.
Yes. So Tozawa is thrown out by the former Hurt Business members, Benjamin and Alexander. And why would you ever break those guys up?
Right before WrestleMania, dude. When I saw Cedric Alexander with the Hurt Business X'd out on his pants, I just total face palm, man. Just what are you doing? So there's a million people that come to throw those two out, the ex Hurt Business guys. And dude, I'm so happy that Retribution is in this, still in Retribution gear. The only thing I wanted to know, where's Reckoning? Like, let Reckoning win the whole thing. Let her be the Andre Battle Royal winner. Yeah. So Mason T-Bar eliminate Drew Gulak and then Humberto. Jackson Riker and Elias eliminate Slapjack. And then Mace and T-Bar eliminate Jackson Riker and Elias, dude. And then immediately, Ali eliminates Mace and T-Bar. And most of my favorite people in this match are now gone.
Lucha House Party was in this, and they eliminate each other.
Yes.
So the final five is Ali, Ricochet, Corbin, Jey Uso, and Nakamura. Ricochet eliminates Ali. Jey then super kicks Ricochet, who was on the ropes. And then Jey and Corbin are beating down Nakamura. Jey super kicks Corbin. He throws him over the top, but his feet don't touch. Nakamura then knees Corbin off the apron, and it's down to Jey and Shinsuke.
Yeah, Nakamura gets some strikes. He hits a spinning kick and an STO onto Jey. Nak then lines up for the Kinshasa, but Jey super kicks him. Nak then hits it anyway, dude. But Jey reverses Nakamura's attempt to throw him out over the top.
So here, Uso with a reversal. Nakamura eliminated.
And Jey Uso is your winner.
I think that this was awesome because Jey earned it on his own. It doesn't make up for the fact that he's not on this WrestleMania show, but this is the best thing that they could have done for him, even if he wasn't on the card. He gets out there, he poses with the trophy, and Roman's music hits.
Yeah, Roman comes out in the topes fours. He's got Paul beside him. He raises the title over his head. He gets the full entrance, comes to the ring, and daps up Jey. We come back from break. Paul hands Roman a microphone, and Roman starts with,
I'm annoyed that I even have to be here.
He says, I'm not a politician, not running for president. He doesn't have to sell himself to anyone. He's in a match that he can lose even if he isn't pinned.
Gonna state the obvious, Sunday night,
I'm gonna show up and win.
You know the phrase,
you bought the shirt.
Which was an excellent line.
Oh, so good. So good.
Roman says,
you prep at a 12. The 10 comes easy.
You want to know what show up and win means? When Roman Reigns shows up, the WWE is winning.
Roman then says he could be like Daniel Bryan and Edge, have one good week, which is kind of how Daniel Bryan got here in the first place, but I digress. But Roman then says, since August 23rd at SummerSlam,
week after week for over 30 weeks in a row.
Folks, it's all here on the channel. So go ahead and check that out. We've been there. Roman says, who changed ratings for the show?
Me.
Who's the one that everyone wants?
Me.
And that brings him to his counterparts,
the Dreamers.
He references Bryan's Yes promo and Edge's Dream promos from earlier, and then tells DB that if he made Roman tap out, he'd be the champion. But he isn't. And Sunday,
You can't make me tap out.
Edge. Nobody took it from him?
I took it from you. And I took it from everyone else.
This is where the comeback story ends. You being in the main event with Roman Reigns is...
With Roman Reigns, that's your dream, and that's where the story ends.
Roman says the Dreamers are selfish, and Roman isn't selfish.
I'm the man with the golden hand.
I save careers, right, Paul? And Paul looks shook for a second.
Yeah.
And then he like sells his fealty, which I thought was cool. Like, oh shoot, yeah. Roman then turns to Jay.
Who gave you the greatest year of your career, Oos?
And then Jay acknowledges that Roman's the man that brought him that.
Roman then says for Edge and DB, he's not going to make your dreams come true. He's going to crush them because as his special counsel says,
this ain't a prediction. This is a spoiler.
At WrestleMania, he's going to wreck everyone and leave.
Smash you. I'm going to stack you. I'm going to pin you.
Then the referee is going to count 1, 2, 3, and you're going to look up and see a man on a different level than you.
$1 million of pyro go off.
You're going to see the whole world acknowledge me. And this was an awesome promo.
No, absolutely, dude. We had a lot of words on this show. But we've had plenty of physicality. So actually, in my opinion, why have them touch right now? You know what I mean? Why not try to sell it with promos? I thought that Bryan and Roman were really good. I thought that Edge was but I got what he was trying to say. Right. And I actually think that Roman's the winner here because he tied both of the previous two together.
I agree.
So pulling in the Dreamers and the Yes thing. So all of that being said, brother, what do you think, or who do you think did the best job this week? Who do you have in your island of relevancy?
Well, I'm making an amendment. I am going to put Roman Reigns on the island of relevancy this week because he hasn't been on for a long time, because I felt like his build to this WrestleMania, he hasn't been utilized as much as he could have, but man, they really stuck it with the ending here because exactly what you said. I thought Daniel Bryan did a great job and Edge did a job, but Roman tied it all together. And I am ready to have this spotlight put on our tribal chief for WrestleMania. So that was who I put on the island of relevancy this week. Goose, who are you tossing into the ocean of obscurity?
I'm not tossing into who, but a what? Don't sell me a street fight that can change the course of a WrestleMania match and have the heater that's supposed to injure the babyface just tap out in the middle of the ring without inflicting any damage.
Yeah. And
Daniel Bryan doesn't even have tape on right now.
You know what? Throw Sonya Deville in there too for that line and just walking away. I'm putting her in there for you as well because that was ridiculous.
I co-sign that. A line that should have been impactful at the worst time that doesn't have an impact.
Nope.
Sonya and the street fight. Get gone.
So that was part 24 of the Bloodline Rewind. Next week is WrestleMania Night 1. We're going to cover all of WrestleMania just because it's WrestleMania, so why not? So we'll get to the Bloodline stuff and everything that ties into that. We'll tie a little bit in next week, but we'll for sure do it on part 2, WrestleMania Sunday, part 26 in 2 weeks. So be there for that. Make sure you go out and check out the rest of the stuff on the channel. But with that, I'm Johnny Bake Show.
I'm Teddy Mongoose.
And we just called it in the ring.